really have to learn to do it again. Because like we have different vehicles that I was a 25-year-old movie star, and I looked 17. I'm now a grown man, and you have to learn to work with what you got. You know, I'm not that boy anymore. I'm like, this is who I am, and I have to learn to work with this face and this body and all that kind of stuff. And it's difficult because you want to look up at the screen and see yourself when you're 25. And you know, you look at those pictures all day, and you're like, "Oh my God, I'm really hot." And then you go to the bedroom, and you're like the crypt keeper.
Oh my God!
So it's like, why?
He's
how
so
did this happen to
gorgeous.
me,
Not
you know?
even close, right, Felissa?
Not her. Not
No,
her. She's
I'm
fabulous.
crypt keeper, like
I
for
know,
real.
I know. I can't listen to him because I truly look at his face, and it's so beautiful. And when you look into Mark's eyes, it's like, well, you know, you can see him right here. He's just a stunning human being, both inside and out. And I'm amazed that I get to sit next to him at conventions and to be in a movie with him. So I feel the only thing I can ever say is how grateful I am to, you know, people who still support the movies we had done and the movies that we're doing, and it's just a whole lot of thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Where we're going, it's like the two of us are not. We've decided that we want to play a married. Well, we want that little boy
married
who
couple.
was to be, you know, that was Tyler in this movie, because he's like imitating me through the whole movie, and I'm like, oh my God, this poor little thing. He's like 6 feet tall, and well, so we want to be a married couple, and she's going to be an alcoholic slut, and I'm going to be in the closet and
I
crazy.
do it very
and that's
well.
going to be our child, and it's like going to be the normal one, you know. So we're like looking forward to making a
When
whole
does this
bunch
start? Because this is an awesome premise,
Doesn't it?
right?
Don't you want to know these
to
two?
be
Like,
his
we
wife,
got
his
together.
slutty
What?
drunk wife.
Yeah, she's the
I'm
slutty-
bad baby.
Right, and we're like, we'll do conversion therapy, and like, it could be really interesting, you know. Like she meets me at the restaurant, and you know, and picks me up and cures me.
Of course she does. None of this is believable, though, right?
Yeah, exactly. But like, we just want to have fun. I mean,
I
that's
think
the whole
that's
thing. It's just
awesome.
to have fun. And
But you can do that. Can you just go and do that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it becomes more and more of a reality all the time, and I think that I talk to young filmmakers a lot all the time too. It's like like literally right now we're streaming around the world.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't need anybody to produce you anymore. Now, Family Possessions has won a lot of awards, and it's not the greatest movie.
Thank
in the
you,
world.
Tommy Fairclough.
And we love him, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
he's like out in North Carolina making movies. You know what I mean? And he's not waiting for somebody in New York or in Toronto to say, hey, it's okay that you make a movie. He's like, he's making movies, you know? And it's like you get better and better and better and better and better. And like, don't wait for somebody to produce your art. You know, it's like if you want to make something, make it yourself, you know? And all you need is a few people to... We make a living off of... I have maybe 50,000 people on Facebook, right? And inclusive, everything. And I wrote a book, and like I got bored writing the same thing over and over again because people would ask me the same questions, right? And which is normal. But then I started writing this thing called Jesse's Lost Journal, right? And every day I would write a paragraph for my status report on Facebook. And then a magazine in England picked it up and published it. And then I produced it as a book, right? And I sold, the first time I printed, I made 1,000 copies. And I sold those 1,000 copies in 30 days. And I was publishing the book for $2.50, and I was selling it for $40, right? Do the math, right? I don't need the whole world to like me to make a living. All I need is, you know, a few people, and you like bring them along. My friend Lee makes the most incredible bears, and he sort of created these scare bears.
Oh, bears. Okay.
Yeah, they're they're scary bears,
They're
but
amazing.
they're animatronic, and he's been doing that. When did you start doing that?
16 years ago.
16 years ago, and he came to Rock and Shock in Boston with us, and we put the bears on the table, and people started buying them.
Yeah.
He makes a living as an artist doing his bears.
Where's the bear?
On my table. Come to my table.
Okay,
you see
yeah,
one. It's
yeah.
really great. But it's like I just encourage artists all the time, you know,
I
to
think
like
that's
just
fabulous.
do it.
So important.
You know, just do it.
Yeah.
Have fun, do it.
It is a different world. I mean, it is. There's a platform for everybody now.
That's right, absolutely.
You can
For
have
sure.
a phone, and you can put together. Well, you're streaming now, right?
Yeah.
Right,
But yeah, there's a platform. You don't have to be conventional anymore.
No, you know, like there was a movie that Clu Gallagher is in, who's played my dad in Nightmare on Elm Street. And Clu is the most adventurous man. He's like 80 years old, right? He's in a movie called Tangerine. Tangerine won South by Southwest and 3 or 4 other huge worldwide film festivals. Shot on 2 GoPro phones.
Yeah.
Right, the whole thing. The budget was like $20,000.
It's amazing.
And it's about transvestites, hookers, like walking the strip in Santa Monica.
Brilliant.
And it's the most beautiful movie. And they made it, and it's like those guys are now making multi-million-dollar films off a film that they made off a camera. It's just the way it goes now.
It's a YouTube generation.
It is. It's
right?
a whole world.
Which is
to do
great.
it.
I
it's
think
fabulous.
that's great because it lets everybody
Be free.
able to do that.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So tell me something that you like to do in your spare time that has nothing to do with work.
I have 3 kids, and I just love hanging out with them. We go to the beach, we listen to great music, and just enjoy our time together when I'm not working, which is, fortunately and unfortunately rare. I mean, now I produce. So I produce Slayer's music videos, and I produce feature films, and, I do a lot of conventions. So it's a constant, amazing journey.
She amazes me that she can multitask in the way that she does. I mean,
Yes,
if
she
you
does
have 3 kids, and like when Felissa comes into the show, it's like a foghorn going off. It's like literally I'm here, and and it's like she won't let anybody like not have a good time. And it's not creepy or anything. She just brings it in. I mean,
Maybe a little bit.
she is a little creepy. But it's like you have to know her better to find out.
Very
No, but we do have
creepy.
fun. For me, it's like one of the great joys of my life has been I found out as I looked over my shoulder that I've supported myself my entire life as an artist. And I haven't had a job working for somebody since I was 14 years old.
Liberating.
And every day I look in front of me and I go, like, what am I going to do with my life? I mean, I'm still asking those questions, right? And I looked up the other day and I realized that in 5 years, I can have Social Security. I mean, it's like, I can retire in 5 years. I'm like a senior citizen. I got a senior citizen discount the other day at the store. They said 25.
okay.
I was going to the store and they said, well, if you can get somebody who's over 55 to like come with you, you can get 20% off. And I was like, I'm over 55. And it's like, they asked me for my ID and I was like, oh yeah, here. And it's the first time anybody asked me for my ID in like 30
You were
years.
carded.
I was carded. But to be a senior, right? So I was like, oh, no, I've done this. I mean, I really have done it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a
Yeah.
painter. I'm an artist. I own an art gallery.
His
I'm an
bags are
architect,
amazing, ladies. His handbags.
And I'm an actor.
amazing.
So I made it all the way. My journey's really not almost over, but I've done it. So I'm pretty proud of myself because I was, my dad was a truck driver and my mom was a nurse, and I come from Kansas City and I went to New York, and I'm sitting here in London, Ontario, talking to you.
It's amazing.
High
So I made it.
That is amazing. Now, I want to open it up to you guys. Do you have any questions that you'd like to ask either?
The question was that I took a break after Nightmare 2, and I'll be very honest with you. When Nightmare on Elm Street 2 comes, they call Nightmare on Elm Street 2 the homo Nightmare on Elm Street. So I was playing a girl's part. Like the victim and the final girl is always a girl, and she's a girl for a reason, right? And when you put a boy into that part, I don't care who you are. I mean, it's like the big, if you put Arnold Schwarzenegger in as the final girl, it's going to cause some weight. And then the writer had written it as a gay movie. But he said it was subtext. But when people realized what was going on, it caused quite a stir. And I was gay myself, and then I was in the spotlight, like a hot spotlight in the 1980s, of just being. It was horrible. I mean, it was a nightmare. It was my nightmare. I had just I was a movie star, and all of a sudden I was being, it was mostly 14-year-old boys, which, how the internet is now. It's like the scariest people are a 12-year-old with in the dark. And, but the writer kept giving interviews and saying, well, it wasn't supposed to be that way, or it was supposed to be subtext, and then they hired Mark, and, it wasn't subtext anymore. And he just shamed me constantly, right? And the AIDS epidemic was in the world at that time. Most of you are far too young, and some of you probably saw it. It was nothing like it is now. Everybody was dying. And I just thought, this is bullshit. I mean, it's like I didn't get into this business to hide, to be not myself. I became an actor to be free. And all of a sudden they were saying, like, can you get a girlfriend? And will your girlfriend be upset if, you play a gay character? I just played a transgendered person. I'd have no problem with this, So I literally thought, I don't want to live my life this way. And I was offered movies for 6 years after I left the business. I mean, like, literally, no, the door's closed, and I became an architect. And I went out and I had a wonderful life. I really did. I mean, I worked in Palm Beach, Florida. I worked at the upper ends of the world. And had a really good time. But in my heart, it was like I would hear this voice inside of myself and say, show business is not over with you yet. And I think, like, you're delusional, And, like, finally, honest to God, I moved to Mexico. I have an art gallery. I had an art gallery in Mexico. I lived on a dirt road with donkeys. I'm not kidding you. I mean, like, in the middle of nowhere. And the phone rang. And my sister-in-law was on the phone, and she said, listen, these boys have been trying to get a hold of you for like a year, and they're really, really nice. And I think, because I didn't talk to anybody. I was off the grid. I didn't have a cell phone, right? And she was like, but they're really nice, and they've been looking for you for a couple of years, and you should just talk to them. And it was Never Sleep Again, the documentary. And they said, would you please fly to California the day after tomorrow? And we're finishing the documentary. We've been looking for you for years. And I did. And to be nice, I went and I did that documentary. And I was offered a contract to travel around the world the next day.